And this leads a fifth man has died in the Zandspruit vigilante attack. He and 8 others were attacked in the early hours of yesterday after the community accused them of terrorising residents. While in the Western Cape, shooting sprees are said to be on the rise. You may recall that 13 people were shot dead in several incidents in Khayelitsha over this past weekend. Let's get you live updates now with eNCA's Masego Rahlaga. She's in Zandspruit. Ronald Masinda is keeping an eye on Philippi in the Western Cape. Let's come to you first, Masego, because we've had a few developments in Zandspruit this morning. Confirmation of another death and news of arrests. Where do things stand?
Well, Tembegile, we found out from the police commissioner here in Gauteng this morning, Mr. Elias Mawela, telling my colleague Aviu Mtila that 3 people were arrested after yesterday's incidents. Those people, according to Mawela, were actually looked for by the police's intelligence team. They were apparently able to get a hold or find one of the suspects, one of the community members accused of being part of that vigilante attack, and they got that person to take them to 2 other suspects. We know that overnight 1 more young man passed away in hospital. That was at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital, among the 5 that were left injured yesterday and that were supposed to be recovering in hospital. 3 were taken to Helen Joseph Hospital and 2 were taken to Soweto at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. But I did speak, Tembegile, to one of the brother to one of the victims, one of the guys who are in hospital still recovering, and he he asked us rather to keep him anonymous. He says he's still afraid because he still lives among this community in Zandspruit. He's very afraid for his life, especially because he described to me that when the community, that mob got into his mother's house, they were asleep and his brother was asleep in the other room. And he says he witnessed and he saw some of them and he realized that a lot of them he knew, and that's why he's afraid to stand in front of the camera or to say his name. He says he pleaded, Tembegile, with that crowd to please let go of his brother. But he was unable to win that fight because he too was attacked. And so unfortunately for him, a few hours later he learned of his brother. He came here and saw his brother badly injured. But his brother is still recovering at the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. And here he is telling us about what happened in the early hours of yesterday morning.
Lesikhathi kufika ama-ambulance ozamile athi ufuna ukusukumisa yena bekangcono yaphakathi kwamarushile naye.
Kodwa mumbona ubhuti wakho anjalo, ubona laba abanye abashonile abalimele kabuhlungu kangaka, ubucabangani wena yini lento beyidlula emqondo wakho?
Like from beginning, from ejartini bazophula, angilalanga sele ngahamba nale group leyana ngizama ukudefenda yena ngoba ukufika ekuseni sekumanje sekalimele sekafentile yaphuma igazi eliningi lapho bazofuna uqala ukushisa bengekho kanti inhliziyo yami ibuhlungu kakhulu.
Masego, that is the brother of one of the men who were set alight and beaten yesterday. You also spoke to the aunt of this latest young man who we're told died overnight, and she has been very critical of the police in particular.
Well, Tembegile, she is actually the aunt of one of the other young men who are still recovering in hospital. So the gentleman that we just heard this morning is a brother to another young man who was sent to the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. Now, the woman that we're about to show the viewers a clip of is actually an aunt to one of the other young men who were injured. He is recovering at the Helen Joseph Hospital around here in Johannesburg. And what she was saying basically is that, you know, they are tired as the community of, you know, the crime that's happening here in the Zandspruit community. They say that police don't do anything to assist them or don't do enough really to assist them. She did admit that they do live among a lot of crime, but she says that she even managed to get out of Zandspruit, but it was her sister's children who were still living there because her sister passed away and therefore the children had to look after the house. And now she's heartbroken to learn of her nephew being injured in the way that he has. And she says that by the time he does recover, hopefully she is hoping that he recovers, and she says when he does recover, she's not going to allow him to come back into this community because she's scared for his life. She'll go with him wherever she's living. She also didn't want to disclose where she's living because they're so scared, Tembegile, after what happened here yesterday. So she says that she's disappointed in the police, especially looking at another aunt we spoke to who said that with her nephew, she called the police at around 5:30 yesterday morning. The police only made it there almost 2 hours later at 7:15, according to her cell phone records. And she says even when they were here, they couldn't go into the grounds to go stop the crowd from carrying on with the attack because they told her that they too were scared of the crowd because they were so violent. And she says she asked them why they didn't use stun grenades and rubber bullets that they usually use at protests to disperse crowds. Why in this situation they couldn't do something like that to save people's lives, and now today 4 of them have died. But here's the aunt to one of the ones who survived and is recovering at the Helen Joseph Hospital.
Ndive mna ndize ngokuthi ndizojonga abantu abalimeleyo apha abantwana. Mandifika ndive lo mntana esithi imakazi ndingapha cani kwakhe. Kanti uyandibona mandithi ndiyamjonga nguyudemo, mandibuza abanye abantwana bathi awumboni ngudemo naloko amakotokoto. Mandithi ndiyabajonga thini ngudemo. Ndithi ke kuye mna demo uyabona ke ngoku apho khona ukuphi na ngoba izolo bendigqiba uthetha nawe. Ufuna imali, ufuna iphampa zomntana ndiyakunika. Apha ufuna ntoni na? Wajika wajonga le khangandiphendula.
Okay, let's bring in Ronald Masinda. And Ronald, you've been getting reaction from many of the communities that are still shaken after the several incidents where people were shot in the Khayelitsha area. But Cape Town has a broader issue as far as that sort of crime is concerned, doesn't it?
Yes, indeed, Temekile, and we were in Mitchell's Plain earlier on speaking to neighborhood watch groups. They will say that they are basically losing their war against crime. They say that gangs or gangsters in the area are resorting to intimidation, telling them that should they stand in the way, that they will also be victims of the heinous crimes that we've seen in Mitchell's Plain. We also heard earlier on one of the senior members of the Neighborhood Watch Group, he had his car petrol bombed, and to them, this was a sign of things to come. Mitchell's Plain is an area where, not so long ago, in February, in fact, where 10 people were shot and 6 were killed just in 1 week alone in Mitchell's Plain, in mass shootings that took place there. And we've also heard reports of several other shootings that have taken place in the area. We also heard from one of the leaders of the Neighborhood Watch Group, Bonita Wood, and this is what she had to say further.
What we are doing as the team is standing here, our visibility in our area does make a difference. Our patrolling, we start our patrols like from Mondays to Fridays. We start like in the evening from 8 till about 11. Some nights we even do from 1 in the morning till about 4 the next morning, to keep it safe for the break-ins and gangsters that roam around in our area.
I want to ask you, Ronald, about Nyanga Township. It has the awful title of being South Africa's murder capital. Are things there improving? What are the challenges?
So one of the main challenges has to do with a lack of ways of fighting crime. They also need stuff like cameras on the streets of Nyanga, because many of the people who commit these heinous crimes are not caught by police on time. And that one of the issues that they are dealing with is just that there's a variety of crimes committed by so many people who are involved either in gangs or just in criminal activities. I mean, we spoke about, when we were in Nyanga, about issues like ambulances being attacked by people, as well as businesses that have been attacked, or also businesses that are also on the receiving end of extortion rackets in the area. So there's just a variety of crimes. And one of the main issues has been in Nyanga that there's seems to be a shortage of policing, a shortage of staff at the Nyanga police station. And the community says that they cannot fight crime just by blowing whistles, hoping that police might turn up when a crime takes place. So this is what THULANI PIKE had to say. He's one of the community leaders in Nyanga.
There are many efforts that have been done to curb these gruesome murders in our community, but they are not enough. They are not enough in such a way. We are engaging with the police, especially the police management, And we are lucky in Nyanga that we have a station commander that listens to the needs of the community. But what fails us the most is the resources. There is not enough resources to police the Nyanga precinct. Because when you speak about Nyanga, you're not only speaking about Ward 37, you speak about Ward 39, you speak about Philippi, you speak about Old Crossroads, and most of this, some of these areas, Lusaka, they are the one who generate more murders for our precinct. So we are calling as community of Nyanga, the minister to come to party and invest more resources to the Nyanga precinct.
Ronald Masinda in Cape Town, Masego Rahlaga in Zandspruit, thank you both, covering today the spate of deaths linked to crime in South Africa.